Yo guys, how are you doing? My name is Rob of Rule of Two Review and welcome back. So first and foremost, a humongous Happy New Year to you. This video will be going up on January 1st, 2018, and holy crap, we did it. We made it through another year. I mostly had a fantastic 2017 across the board. I hope a lot of you guys did as well. And now we have a whole new year of things to look forward to. And so what I wanted to do is talk about the year in gaming we might be able to expect in 2018 and discuss the 10 games that I am the most excited for that we know about right now. So of course, being only the first day of the year means it's kind of hard to make the most accurate list of the games you might be the most excited for, because there's a lot of games that we probably still don't have announced that we can look forward to in 2018. From Nintendo specifically, my favorite company, most of you guys who follow the channel, your favorite company as well, I believe. We don't really have a whole lot yet confirmed to look forward to in 2018. Only a handful of games confirmed for the Switch or from Nintendo, but it still gives us something to go on. And as far as other games, there are some games that we know about that are announced that we don't even have release dates for, that still have a good shot at showing up in 2018, but also still might not. So there are 3 huge games I would love to be able to include on this list, but I'm not going to because we don't know if they're going to be releasing in 2018 or not. And that is The Last of Us Part 2, Bayonetta 3, and of course the big one for myself, Metroid Prime 4. Those are 3 games that if they had 2018 release dates as of right now, without question, they would probably top this list. But we don't have release dates. They might be 2019, they might be 2020. Who even knows with those titles? So those are 3 huge ones. I just wanted to get out to you guys right now and let you know they don't qualify for this list because they don't have release dates. I'm only talking about games that as of right now are slated to release in 2018. Some might get delayed, and that is just inevitable. But right now, we can expect them hopefully in 2018. So those are the games that qualified for the list. And so without further ado, let's talk about the 10 games that I am the most excited for coming out this year. So coming in at number 10 is going to be Anthem, which is the new game from EA, who everyone hates, and for very good reason. I am definitely not aboard the EA train, but when it comes to just a video game, I can't lie. Anthem, I think, looks pretty great. It was a huge reveal from E3 this last year, and one of the games that is really meant to showcase also the power of the Xbox One X, even though it will be available on all PlayStation and Xbox consoles, probably PC. I can't remember if that's confirmed, but I would assume so. And, you know, my big theory with Anthem is that I think it's going to be aligned with Microsoft and the Xbox One X to be this great kind of double 1-2 punch of get the Xbox One X and the ultimate game that showcases why the One X is amazing, Anthem. And that, combined with your 4K TV, means you get the ultimate gaming experience. So I expect a huge marketing push in that respect, but looking beyond that, it's just a cool looking setting. I like the sci-fi thing. I love the visuals. I love the art style of what we've seen so far. And the idea of a sort of online co-op Destiny sort of experience in this Anthem looking world. I mean, it's a simple, straightforward premise. I don't know if the gameplay will be unique or not, but it certainly looks cool with what we've seen. And I love me some sci-fi shooters, so that's why that comes in as my 10th most anticipated game for 2018. Coming in at number 9 is going to be Yoshi for the Nintendo Switch. Again, there's only a few Nintendo Switch titles and Nintendo-developed games that we know about right now for 2018, and Yoshi is definitely going to be a great game. I think the reason that that makes this list is because it's just the most excellent and perfect-looking version of that amazing 2D, side-scrolling, platforming Nintendo gameplay. And I love Yoshi as a character. I think all his previous games are fantastic. And, you know, I mean, Yoshi's Woolly World is a solid and underrated game, and that's a game that started off really easy, and the cutesy vibe might even be enough to turn some people off, but man, make no mistake, a couple of worlds in, that game got really difficult and really challenging in a way that I loved. And the art style for the new Yoshi game looks really fantastic and vibrant and colorful, just like other Yoshi games, just like most of Nintendo's games, and I just know that it's going to do some really incredible things. You know, I'm a side-scrolling platforming junkie, and of course Nintendo does that better than anyone, so obviously Yoshi had to make my list, and that's why it comes in at number 9. Coming in at number 8 is a game that almost made it higher on this list, but ultimately I decided to settle on it here, and that is Dragon Ball FighterZ, because oh my freaking gosh, this game looks incredible. And although I never talk about it on the channel, I am the biggest Dragon Ball fan. Dragon Ball Z is literally like a top 2 or 3 show all time for me. Absolutely love the story and the characters and like the kind of lore and mythos behind what they're doing there. And, you know, we've long been waiting for an excellent Dragon Ball game. There's been a lot of attempts at making Dragon Ball games in the past. A few of them have been okay, many of them have been bad, and we've never truly gotten an amazing game. This game looks like, I mean, when we think of playing a Dragon Ball game, this is the best version of that we could possibly imagine. Using the 2D hand-drawn sprites that look like they're ripped right out of the show in amazing HD quality. It looks like the best of what we've seen from like Marvel vs. Capcom types of games in the past. And to make it a Dragon Ball game specifically looks fantastic, and it's got the tag system where you're calling in other fighters to aid in what you're doing. And I think the only reason it makes it lower on this list is because it is just a fighter, as opposed to, you know, one day giving us the amazing adventure sort of single-player campaign experience a lot of us want in a Dragon Ball game. And they tried that with that Dragon Ball Sagas game for the 6th gen, which was really just okay. But considering this game looks as good as it does, I mean, it's impossible not to be excited. I simply cannot wait for Dragon Ball FighterZ. Now, coming in at number 7 is a game that only recently jumped up my list for games that I'm really excited for. Initially, this was a game I was kind of writing off as something I didn't know if I would ever care about or want to play. And lately, I've started to realize, especially with what they've shown to us, that it might actually be something really special. And I cannot wait for it. And that is Detroit Become Human for the PlayStation 4. Now, this is Quantic Dream's new game. They're known for Heavy Rain and for Beyond Two Souls and a couple of other things. Indigo Prophecy way back, also on the 6th gen. And, you know, I don't typically love this kind of gameplay, but something happened in the last couple of years, which is the game Until Dawn, which my girlfriend and myself played through. We're huge horror fans, and what Until Dawn was trying to do with the very story, cinematic, movie sort of gameplay experience combined with like an 80s sort of cheesy horror movie worked so well for us. And that game was incredibly interactive as well, so it was a great sort of blend. And that game kind of changed the way I look at this kind of gameplay experience. And some of the recent demos and what they showed us at PSX for for Detroit Becoming Human made me realize, okay, this game is doing a lot of the things that I've started to love in gaming the last couple of years. Not to mention, it will be a game that my girlfriend and I will play through together. So we'll experience the story almost like a movie, make some decisions, become really invested, just like we did with Until Dawn. I love the fact that it's kind of tapping into the sort of sci-fi android artificial intelligence sort of thing, which I always find fascinating, even in films and just regular fiction. And it looks like they've spent a lot of time to make this game something really unique and extraordinary. And we know there's going to be a trillion different outcomes for every scenario in the ending of the game. And I just know it's going to be something that my girlfriend and I absolutely have a blast playing through. And so for that reason, it ended up becoming one of my most anticipated games of the year. Coming in at number 6 is Monster Hunter World, because I love Monster Hunter, you guys. I'm a huge fan ever since Monster Hunter Tri on the Wii. Myself and some of my best buddies got so hooked on the series. I know it existed on the PSP before that, and it's always been a great series, but it wasn't until it came to a Nintendo platform that myself and my friends realized how awesome it is. And so, you know, Monster Hunter Tri, Monster Hunter Ultimate on the Wii U, and then, of course, Generations and Monster Hunter 4 on the 3DS. Fantastic games. And the reason I'm so into it is because my friends back home in Denver, we're all big Monster Hunter fans. So what we've done with all the recent releases is gotten together as soon as these games released, and we start playing them. And it gives us reason to get connected again, especially for myself having moved away from home from Denver. So that kind of makes me a little bit biased towards it, because I know my buddies and I get together and play this game, and it gives me a reason to stay in contact with them. But also, the Monster Hunter games are extremely well made. They're very, very fun. The gameplay is very deep. All of the armor and weapon crafting and, you know, coming together with your buddies to take down huge monsters. It's a blast. And what Monster Hunter World seems to be doing, I haven't had a chance to play the beta, unfortunately, so I'll be going in blind when it releases in January. But what it seems to be doing and how it's changing the previous Monster Hunter formula is very exciting. My best friend back home played the beta, said it was fantastic. The game looks beautiful. I've got nothing but things to be excited for when it comes to this game, and I'm a Monster Hunter fanboy, so that's why it's so high on my list. Coming in at number 5 is Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. And this is one I think I was excited when I started to look over 2018 titles and think about where I wanted to place games I was stoked for. And I was like, man, you know what? I'm pumped for Bloodstained. This is just the game for me. Again, I love old school classic side-scrolling gameplay. I grew up in the 8 and 16-bit era, and I love those kinds of games. And when a new game comes out that's trying to emulate that sort of feel, I love it. And this is specifically trying to do the classic Castlevania games, and even more so, not the classic Castlevania, but more like the Game Boy and DS era of games like Aria of Sorrow and Harmony of Dissonance and all those things. And that is an amazing era of Castlevania games. I love the side-scrolling stuff. I love the action. And what Bloodstained seems to be doing is really just the 2018 version of the same thing. And one of the few indie games and crowdfunded games that I'm really, really pumped for. And it's been delayed and it's jumped all over the place in terms of release date, but I truly believe it's going to finally hit this year in 2018. And because I just love those old Castlevania games, going all the way back to the NES and up to, Symphony of the Night on the PlayStation 1, and then, of course, all the DS and Game Boy games. I love them so much. I love the tone and vibe of Bloodstained. I think it's going to be incredible. So that's why it makes it at number 5. Now, number 4 is tricky for me because I think if we knew anything else about this game, it could be even higher on this list, maybe even number 1. But right now, we only know it as a title that exists, and that is Fire Emblem coming to the Nintendo Switch. And this is exciting because it's Fire Emblem. I love Fire Emblem. I've become a huge fan the last couple of years. And the fact that Nintendo confirmed a brand new legitimate entry in the Fire Emblem series is coming to the Switch sometimes this year is so exciting because we're going to get a console quality, actual console level Fire Emblem game for the first time since whatever the Wii version was. And I always forget if it's Path of Radiance or Radiant Dawn. I think Radiant Dawn is the Wii one. So either way, that was the last time we had a console Fire Emblem. It's been strictly handheld ever since. And those games have been great. I've loved the ones that I've played. But now we're getting into the real stuff, man. We're going to Nintendo Switch level, this amazing next-gen console-quality Fire Emblem game. We need to really get an idea of the story, the visuals, what they're doing to tweak the gameplay, if they're tweaking the gameplay, or if they're just going to make the most ultimate version of the standard Fire Emblem formula for the Switch. Who knows? But the simple fact we're going to have it on the Switch is so exciting. I mean, if I could even play something like Awakening on the Switch, I would be super excited, let alone a brand new Fire Emblem game. And we just live in this world where Nintendo is just pushing Fire Emblem to the forefront. And I'm not sick of it yet. Some people are, and that's fine, but I'm not sick of it yet. So I say bring it on. I simply cannot wait for Fire Emblem, so that's why it makes it at number 4. So we're coming into the top 3. And number 3 is, of course, even another tricky one, but for very different reasons. And that is going to be Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes. Now, this is tricky because if we knew that this was more of a sequel to No More Heroes 2, and if we had seen some of the gameplay, there's a very good chance that this would have been number 1. In fact, I can almost guarantee that. If this was No More Heroes Part 3, it would be number 1 because No More Heroes is that great of a series to me. It's one of my absolute favorite series of all time. I love Travis Touchdown. You guys have heard me gush about No More Heroes before, but they have confirmed that this is not No More Heroes Part 3. This is more of a weird sort of spin-off to kind of give us a taste of Travis Touchdown and bring No More Heroes back into the consciousness of gamers again. And Suda has said that if this game was successful the way they want to see it be successful, that means No More Heroes 3 will be coming. And it's also strange because we know it's like doing this thing where they're working with other indie developers and indie titles and combining it with those games because Travis gets sucked into a video game console and has to go through 6 different indie game worlds to complete his quest and fight the different bosses. And so we don't really know what the gameplay is going to be like, even though they've kind of told us it's going to be traditional No More Heroes. But since we don't know yet, it's still mysterious enough that I didn't want to put it at number 1 because I want to see what this game turns into. But because I love No More Heroes and I love Travis Touchdown, I am still chomping at the bit to get this game in my hands on my Nintendo Switch sometime in 2018. And so that's why it made it so high in this list at number 3. Now, coming in at number 2 was a huge shocker for me. But when I sat back and really thought about all the list of games I was pumped for, I was like, you know what? I am that excited for this game. So I feel comfortable putting it at number 2, and that is going to be Code Vein. Now, a lot of you who know me know why I'm so excited for Code Vein, and it's because this game shamelessly, very proudly, wears on its sleeve the fact that it is borrowing and inspired from Dark Souls. And I love Dark Souls. I love Bloodborne. What From Software has done with this kind of action genre, with those series, is incredible. And you guys know that I love me some Dark Souls, and the fact that this game is using this sort of weird steampunk, vampire-inspired Japanese anime kind of gameplay visual style, combined with the Dark Souls gameplay, I'm just so in, man. I'm so in. I cannot even express to you guys how in I am. The art style and just the character models and the sort of tone that this game is going for and the way the character models and the weapons look, and we know it's just like medieval vampire sort of steampunk thing, like I said. Dude, it looks so cool. And we had a Dark Souls-inspired game earlier this year in Neo for the PlayStation 4, which I absolutely love as well, so I've seen proof that borrowing from the Dark Souls formula can work, and that's what Code Vein looks like to me. And there's rumors we might get a Switch version, we might not. Whatever happens there, I don't care what console comes out on, you guys. I think Code Vein is going to be absolutely spectacular, and so shockingly, it makes my number 2 game. And so we come to number 1. And it might not be a surprise considering you guys haven't heard me talk about it yet on this list. And that is going to be God of War on the PlayStation 4. So I am a huge God of War fan, you guys. I really love the first 3 games. Ascension, the prequel, was an okay game, even though it kind of continued the same formula. But specifically, those first 3 games are fantastic action games. Some of the best I've ever played. And I never talk about God of War on the channel, but make no mistake, I really do hold that series in that high regard. And God of War on the PlayStation 4 is a whole new beast. I'm a little bit nervous about what they're doing, but I'm also extremely excited about what they're doing. And I like them taking a new approach, because if they just did the same old thing again, even though I would be excited, there is a chance that it might end up feeling like just another game doing the same old thing, nothing new, nothing special, and it might not be as exciting. But focusing so heavily on story, on character development, on the relationship between old man Kratos and his son, and still throwing in a lot of the typical huge monster God of War elements and crazy combat that we've seen before, makes it very exciting. Changing the perspective, I both love and I'm nervous for, because I love what it did with the old perspective. Not controlling the camera, I just thought that was fantastic with the Chains of Olympus and that whole thing. I thought it was great. And doing the over-the-shoulder thing kind of makes me worry it's just going to feel like any other action game. But more than that, I'm just going to put my faith in the developers and in their vision and just kind of be excited for a new take and a new perspective on a God of War experience. So overall, I don't know what to say, man. I love Kratos. I love God of War. I know he's been one-dimensional in the past, but this looks to be changing that, so I'm so pumped. I mean, I am so excited for God of War that as of right now, it's my number 1 most anticipated game for 2018. So there you go. That is my top 10 most anticipated games for 2018. A lot to look forward to. So many honorable mentions, I couldn't even name them all, but a couple that jumped to mind that I jotted down in my notes that I have to give some shout-outs to: Days Gone, Death Stranding, Kirby Star Allies, Metro Exodus, Shadow of the Colossus, Sea of Thieves, Mega Man 11, Soul Calibur 6, Toe Jam and Earl, Battle Princess Madeline. So many more, not to mention, we know we're going to get surprises. We're going to get reveals of new games in 2018. Nintendo specifically is going to shock us like they always do. We're going to get Nintendo Directs. We got E3 coming. We're going to get new games that change the face of what we can expect. And hey, maybe it turns out Bayonetta 3 or Metroid Prime 4 or whatever other games, maybe a new Tomb Raider. Maybe some of those games do become 2018 games, and that will vastly change how this list will play out. But right now, it's January 1st. We only have so much info to go on, so based on what we know, these are the games that I'm most excited for. So, I want to hear you guys talk about my list, the 10 games that I discussed, and of course, share your own list. What are the games you are most excited for right now that we can expect confirmed in 2018? Talk about that stuff below. Happy New Year's again, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Rob of Rule of 2 Review, and I will catch you next time on another video.